And welcome to Author Adventure. Happy day, Liz. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Russ. How are you doing today on Tuesday, November 1st? God, how did it get to be in November? It's just insane.
I cannot believe it. It's crazy.
The year is almost gone. It's just unbelievable.
And I'm super excited today because we have D. Scott Smith. I hope he listens up because he is a motivational listener.
That's right.
And we have an opportunity to maybe pull a few words of wisdom and nuggets of knowledge from his brain and talk about author adventure and some of the 5 secrets that we love to share every week on Tuesday, 5 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock Pacific Time. And the reality is everybody has an opportunity to publish a book. And we're going to be diving into that. And first and foremost, Liz, I want you to share some of the things, one of the secrets that we actually, share with our community and some of the authors that are coming up, because it's not just writing the book. It's not just the piece that you had to create. And there's a lot of things that go on around that. So I want you to kind of share a couple of things that we can actually provide to the community, some nuggets of knowledge that you've experienced over the last 100 published books or so.
Well, for sure. So today, like you say, Russ and I are all about the art and business of publishing. So we're talking about the art, we're talking about the business part. And so we have what we believe are 5 secrets, and there are a lot of moving parts to these secrets. And so we like to share one each week so that you have at least one thing that you can do, that you can take and do right now. And that's what we're going to do today. We're talking about marketing. Hi, Jordan. How are you today? Happy Tuesday. But yeah, we're going to be talking about social media marketing today because, that is one of the things that a lot of times authors, they spend a long time, months or years writing their book, and then they wake up and go, oh, I've got to publish. And then they spend more time trying to publish. And then they wake up and they go, oh, I got to market. Well, one of the things you can do to market early and to begin to build your list, which is really important, that's really important for launching, that's really important for ongoing marketing, is to create a social media page or have a platform. Begin to put yourself out there as a writer, as an author. I know a lot of us, a lot of new writers especially, don't really consider themselves authors until they publish, but you can begin to talk about your writing. And so today, as the marketing secret I want to talk about is social media. Now, you don't have to be like me and Russ and Scott and be on all the platforms, because we're across platforms, but we do this every day. We help clients do this. So it behooves us to be on these platforms, but you need to be on the platform that your audience is on. Listen carefully. You don't need to be on the platform that you love, the platform that you like the most. You need to be on the platform where your audience is, where your audience gets their information. Okay, so you really got to think seriously. Most people's mistake is they say my book is for everybody. And we've already dispelled that myth on previous interviews and previous conversations. No, your book is not for everybody. And even if it was for everybody, you don't have enough money to market to everybody. So you've got to choose that primary and secondary market. And then you need to choose the social media platform where that audience is. If you're talking to new moms with small children, you may want to be on Pinterest, or maybe you want to be on Facebook or Instagram. If you're talking to men, you probably want to be on Twitter, or you probably want to be on LinkedIn. Okay, because those are more men are on those platforms than some of these other platforms. Obviously, TikTok and Instagram coming on, but those are still younger platforms. Those are platforms for younger audiences. Not saying that you're not going to find me there, not saying that you're not going to find other mature audiences on those platforms, but there are fewer of us on those platforms. Most of us are on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. And so you need to think seriously about who your audience is. Ask some of those people what their favorite platform is, somebody that you think is your ideal reader, and then build a platform there. Build a page, You can do a personal page, and then you can do a business page on most of those platforms, especially LinkedIn and Facebook. And so if you need help with that, we're always here available to help you. Um, just email us, just drop us a note in the comments. You can see our platform on LinkedIn. You'll see Author Adventure. If you see that yellow and gold purple logo up there, just drop us a line. You can also find us at authoradventure@gmail.com. So don't want to take up too much time. This is episode 13. We're very excited today to be talking to D. Scott Smith. He's a publisher himself. He's an author of multiple books, courses. He's a live streamer. And so I'm going to turn it over to D. Scott Smith and Russ Johns. And Russ is going to carry out this interview, and then I'll jump back on at the end and visit with you guys. Great to have you, Scott.
Thank you, Liz, for the updates and sharing those tips with the community. Really appreciate that. So, and I'm excited, D. Scott Smith, to have some motivational listening take place.
Always fun when the motivational listener is the speaker.
Well, and it's, we have met, our paths have crossed over the years, and it was so wonderful to catch up in person, live and in person, folks. This in real life thing actually takes place here in Phoenix at a show, and it was nice to be able to hang out and get to know you a little better. And I know that we have a lot in common and a lot of things to look forward to. But first and foremost, I want to ask you, how did you first get inspired to create and write a book? And which one was the first one that you actually took and developed and delivered to the community?
Yeah, writing a book. This is one of those things that I had dreamed about since I was in college. And I remember one of my clients way back then when I got out of college and was first into the workforce. So this would have been in the late 80s and into the early 90s. I had a client that's how he made his living, was publishing books. And this was back before Amazon. This was back before, it was when self-publishing was really called vanity publishing, which I think was unkind and inaccurate. But at the time, if you wanted to publish a book, you basically had to put up 5,000. You had to buy 5,000 books yourself up front, because that was the kind of the economic order quantity.
5,000. And I'm sure there are authors out there still that have books in their garage.
And that's the thing, is I didn't have a garage. So let's think of, now, what am I going to do with
I better
these
sell
books?
them.
Yeah. And the online sales didn't occur then either. So
what was your first book?
The first book I wrote was actually all about business networking. It's called Motivational Listener: Be Interesting by Being Interested, a practical guide to being successful at business networking events.
Is it that one?
As a big, this is the, that's, you're rolling through. It's one, there should be one more. It's kind of a blue cover with a gray picture. There you go. That's it.
All right.
Motivational Listener: Be Interesting by Being Interested. And this was really based off a talk that I gave back in 2016 at the Social Media Summit in Dublin, Ireland. And the title of that talk was The Psychology and Physiology of Relationships. And it's where I first introduced the term motivational listener. So I took that talk and I turned it into an e-course. And then when I wrote the course out, I wrote it in such a way that I could take that transcript and turn it into a book. Well, one day I had an opportunity. I was a speaker at the state of Oregon's Project Management Institute's annual conference. And I said, well, that's a good reason to have a book. So I went through the process of writing it. Joy Montgomery down in the Bay Area, she edited it for me. And then I learned what it was like to publish on Amazon through the Kindle Create process. And at the time, there was really no guides for me to follow. And so I published it in 2018. And it was just one of those thrilling moments when they send you that email that says your book is now available.
It's pretty cool, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. If you haven't experienced it and you're interested in learning more about that, also talk a little bit about your course or your email opt-in that people can connect with you on dscottsmith.com. I know most of all of your connections are there. And if people want to learn more about who you are and what you're doing, if you haven't ever, if you don't know Mr. Smith here, he's one in a million and fabulous connection to reach out to and build a relationship with.
Well, you're very kind.
Yeah,
but yeah,
true.
People can go to dscottsmith.com. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, my phone number's there. I would say, however you want as a potential customer or a friend, however you want to connect, that's how I want to connect with you. Telegram,
and it's really interesting
Marco
because
Polo.
we don't know how people want to connect. So, when you give them options, then it seems to happen more often. So.
Yeah. Take the, marketing folks always say, remove the friction, make it easy for folks.
Exactly.
I love Catherine's comments. It says fancy cover. So on Motivational Listener, of course, I did all my covers myself. I used my fake Photoshop program to create it because Amazon, kdp.amazon.com, they tell you what the dimensions, what the specs are. And so I set it up, and that was actually a picture I took at a networking event for Virtue Labs. And so I was at that event, and I took that picture and said, well, that's what I'm trying to do, is help people connect. And this is really the thing that's important about publishing is that you have expertise. And if you're a coach or you're a consultant, you've probably already been writing newsletters and blogs and maybe even have an ebook out there on your website. But people need that. And Amazon is the world's largest bookseller. And here's the great thing. People go to TikTok and Instagram to be entertained. They go to YouTube to learn how to do things themselves, the DIY, right? The only reason people are on Amazon is to buy stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only reason they're there.
And it's like Catherine says, you should always be looking for different directions to repurpose your words.
Yes.
Exactly. And, it's words, images, audio, and video. And I know that you're a huge fan and you've been on live streaming and podcasts and you've written books. And you make yourself available to those that are reaching out, and you're always approachable. So that's what I love about you and the things you're doing in the community. So thanks for being available and being a resource to authors out there. And I really appreciate that. So I just want to remind people to reach out to D. Scott Smith at dscottsmith.com.
Yes, that's right. And if you go there, there's all kinds of information, links to the podcast and so forth. But even I've got a free course that people can sign up for if they're interested in writing a book. I've got a process that will take you through to publish your book, not just write it, but actually publish your book, an online course, and do a webinar, and do that all in 12 weeks or less.
And I've actually signed up for that. I've taken your course. So
excellent. Thank you.
I'm on the roadmap. I want to talk a little bit more about relationships in general, though, because I think, my feeling right now is that we've gone through this process of building large networks, global networks. And we've gone from, neighborhood networking, in-person networking, to all of a sudden, last couple of years, we've had an opportunity to meet people around the world, build friendships, actually virtual, meetings and connections and things like with the Global Tea Break, and the activities like that have really blossomed. And I think now people are getting to the point where relationships are developing a little deeper and a little more effective in our communications. But it's more about the relationships than how many people are, giving me a thumbs up and liking my stuff, because I want to make sure that, I actually can connect and understand what you are, who you're doing work with, who is an interesting connection for you. And, so I can help you out and provide introductions as well. And so speak to the relationship side of the equation, because I think it's important that we share that.
So going back to that talk in 2016 in Dublin, psychology and physiology of relationships, one of the things that I did in that talk was took the academic research and we went through and proved that the relationships that we create digitally online, just like when we first met, it was all digital. It was all through screens, through text, email, all that stuff. I took the academic research and we proved that the relationships that we create digitally can be just as strong as those that we create face-to-face. Not to discount face-to-face, because when I had the opportunity, obviously I wanted to be able to meet you, Russ Johns, face-to-face, which was just a fabulous time. And as our buddy Brian Fanzo says, social media turns handshakes into hugs, right? So rather than just meeting you at the business expo and saying, "Oh, nice to meet you," shake your hand, right? Here's my card. We're actually able, you embrace, because this is the type of relationship that we created. So that was the basis of that talk. It resulted in the book Motivational Listener. And then I took and really broke this down in the book, Influence, Creation of Credibility, where we really took a look at the large network that you have. So the average person has like 1,500 LinkedIn connections, but I don't know 1,500 people, but I'm connected to them. So we call that the extended network. And from that, you pull in to what I call your active network. And this is based off of Robin Dunbar's rule. So he's the English sociologist that says we can manage about 150 relationships. And so the exercise I take people through is and I'll tell you, do this. You can go to LinkedIn, download your contacts into a spreadsheet, and it'll take a day. They'll email it to you, but you can open up the spreadsheet, and it's a lot of fun because it comes in reverse chronological order. So the most recent person that you've connected with will be at the top, all the way down through the very first person that you ever connected with. And as you go through that list, you'll see this. It's like the archaeological strata of your life and career. Oh yeah, that's when I worked for this company and when I was at this conference and so forth, right? You'll see these people. So here's the exercise. Go through the list.
Yeah.
And be ruthless. You're not affecting your LinkedIn connections, just this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Go through. Eliminate all the people that you don't know, right? Someone you met at a conference, you're sitting at lunch. Oh, it's your LinkedIn. I got your LinkedIn. And you never see him again. Just delete the people that you don't know. Then delete, and again, this is just in the spreadsheet. Delete all the rows of people that you would never do business with. You don't know what they offer. You would never send a referral to them. And eliminate all the people who would never send a referral to you. And just delete all those people. And every time I've done this, we go through and find out that people end up with between 100 and 120 people. That is their active network. Now, you take that and you define it into 5 roles. And there's very specific roles in that active network.
How so?
Here's the 5 roles.
Okay, give us 5 roles.
Yep. So you go through, now you've got 100 to 120 people. They're either one, your mentors and advisors. So who is it that you turn to for advice? You've got your mentees, and everyone should have a mentee, somebody that they're giving back to. And here's one of the benefits of that is that the person, the teacher always learns more than the student. So as you're taking what you know and transferring it into the next generation, you're refining it and crystallizing it in your own brain. So that's a good thing. So mentors and advisors, mentees, customers. Obviously, customers are a part of your active network. They're good for referrals because they have direct experience working with you. And they're a good source, of course, of repeat business. Then the fourth group is your advocates. These are the people who will actually promote you publicly. They're the ones who say, "Oh, you're interested in doing a podcast? Let me connect you up with Russ Johns." Right? So I become an advocate for you in that spot. Now, the final grouping, and this is the largest part of your network. It could be 60% of your network is what I call partners. These are people who solve problems that you don't solve, but allow you to add value to your network. It's the who's your plumber. Someone says, "Hey, Scott, I know you do all this digital stuff. I need help building a website." And I'm like, I am not the web guy, but I can tell you who to talk to. And so people want, I'm adding value. They go, "Oh, Scott doesn't know, but he knows who. So I always go to him." And so you become a connector. And then I can say, "Oh yeah, I don't produce these podcasts, but let me send you over here. Oh, you need somebody to help promote your book? Let me send you over to Liz."
Yeah. And I think having this list of anywhere from 100 to 120 partners, mentees, mentors, advocates, fans in each category, I think it's really important for authors to understand that before you publish, you should probably have a group of individuals that would be willing to support you in promoting this before a launch, having the opportunity to be sharing in your publishing efforts and some of the things that go along with that. And I think that that's important for authors to understand that, getting a response and getting that momentum built up in advance of a launch is absolutely critical to be able to gain a little more success in that arena, because, it's nice to be able to have friends along for the ride and share the joy and excitement of having a momentous occasion, where you're publishing or you're launching something or any activity like that. So talk a little bit about that in the process.
Yeah. So here's something that every author needs to know, is that we talk about networking, but you already have a fabulous network filled with remarkable people who want you to succeed. They just need to know that you have this book, and who is it for? Why would they want to read it? Just let them know. And then they can push it out to on their social media, on their website, on their email blasts, just in conversations, or bring it up if they're giving talks. They can use you as an example. But again, you already have a remarkable network, right? Just lean into it and let people know. And if you go through this exercise and you come down to 100 people, now 100 people is pretty manageable, right? As far as who to contact. But think about how that math leverages out, right? So if you go through and you say, "Well, I'm gonna talk to the 100 people that actually know me by name, will take my phone calls, will answer my emails. This is who you're connected with." They all have 100 people. So think about how that maps out exponentially, right?
Oh, it's huge.
So don't neglect what you already have. Don't think, "Oh, I need to go to this networking event. I need to go to the chamber event. I need to go to this." It's like, just use what you have right now. And people can start, look, it's not even 3:30 here on the Pacific Coast. If they start now, they can get in like 3 hours worth of work before the end of the day.
And the reality is we have, I truly believe, and I've promoted this for years, is the idea that we all have a gift, we all have a message, and it's magic when you can actually share that with the rest of the world, because we're living in this amazing time in humanity's history where we can actually document and deliver knowledge that is going to live on long after we're gone. And that is information that needs to be secured and shared, in my opinion.
Well,
and those that are willing to do it are thank you. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing it.
Body of work, right?
Yeah.
This is part of the reasons why I encourage people to publish is think about if you're one of your grandparents, one of your great grandparents, ideally maybe, had written a book. How important would that be to you to be able to read? Maybe it's business advice from your great great grandmother who was during the Depression, was doing these things and connecting people and helping them make them be successful. And it was
Yeah.
captured in a book. And now put yourself in that role and say, look, if you're a coach or consultant, or if you're an author, if you have something to say, if you help people, which I am certain that you do, then capture it and add to your body of work so that your children and their children can say, oh yeah, this was written by my great great grandfather Russ.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
It's amazing.
How important is that?
How, think back 100 years on, I mean, my mother, I'm here in Arizona as a caregiver, and mom just turned 86. And she tells stories about, growing up in a house with, an outhouse, and I'm thinking just in her life, flight has become, a regular occurrence. Things have just changed and evolved so much in the last 100 years. Think about the next 100 years and what we're going to go through and what will it look like? And we have the opportunity to document that process. And it just blows my mind. So I really appreciate that journey.
Absolutely. And I just, I was just seeing a comment from Joy Montgomery. Not only did she edit the first book, but she edited another book. She's in process. We've got a book that's joint with Veronica Jeans that I'm writing, Freeze in Action in the Face of Business Crisis. And Joy is doing the editing for us. I tell you, it's fabulous. If you want to write a book, get an editor.
Yeah. And I like Gillian's recommendation, evaluate your network. It's really important. Brilliant idea. And then Catherine was saying that, words matter. Share words that show your heart and you will touch a heart. Your story will have an impact, and it's really about the impact. And I really appreciate you and the work that you're doing, and it falls in line. Liz has published over 112 number one bestsellers for her community. And I wanted to bring her back on and maybe, get some last and final words before we wrap it up. So I'd really appreciate the opportunity to thank you for being here today and sharing your wisdom and your words with us and everything that's going on.
It's great to be here. And I love that you talk about it's the art and business of publishing, because I will say there's a lot of business in business, but we all need to be more elegant in our execution. And definitely the art is there.
Well, it goes so fast, and I wanted to jump in. I wanted to jump in 2 or 3 times. So it was like, oh my gosh. But no, great advice. So I hope y'all are listening, because Scott gave you some really great nuggets. We're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. This is going to be live for the next 24 hours on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and then it's going to archive to our YouTube channel. So if you came in the middle, you want to go back and rewatch this show, because Scott and Russ both dropped some great nuggets. And it is true, we kind of neglect our network. A few years ago, I sat down and did a flip chart on the wall, and I wrote down every media person I knew, every political person I knew, every nonprofit person I knew, every church member I knew, every friend I grew up with. And I just had a wall covered with all of these names, and I was really stunned, because I did not realize, how many connections I had made over the years. And so this evaluation that you're talking about, Scott, is really, really key. And as we talked about with launching, I mean, writing the book is just the first step. Publishing is the second step. Launching that book and getting it out there. And then it's an ongoing challenge of marketing. And so if you've got people that will help you do that. The reason you want to do it early on and do a big push at the beginning is because people like Amazon and other platforms, they're watching those first 5, 10, 14 days of a launch. And if a book sells a lot of books at that beginning there, they start picking that up and promoting that book themselves without you having to pay for it. Okay. And that's what people don't understand. And so they go, oh, I don't need to launch my book. 6 months down the road, then they realize, oh, I should have launched my book. And then they want to launch their book then. Well, they've missed that 30-day window when they could have got some real momentum going and gotten some bigger footprints behind them. Because as Scott mentioned, Amazon, the biggest bookstore in the world, whether you girl in the room, whether you like them or not, your customers going to Amazon. And if you're not there, they got 100 other books they'll sell them before they find yours, and that's the bad news. But Scott, one last thing, if we've got some people that are listening that are like, they're thinking about writing a book, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So, I live here in the Northwest, the birthplace and home of Nike, and their advertising company, Wyden & Kennedy, created the best slogan ever. Right. Just do it.
Yes.
Right. If you want to get good at something, just do it. Right. And I often say, as an entrepreneur, if you are not embarrassed by your first release, you waited too long. So if you want to write a book, then write the book. I've got it, Liz can help you. There's a lot of folks who can help you. Go to dscottsmith.com, sign up for the free course there. I have a paid mastermind that you can be a part of, but go for the free course. It'll take you through the process, give you an outline, write a book, get it published. And here's the beautiful thing. In the old days, when books were sold in bookstores, the size of the spine mattered, right? You had to have some bulk to your book. So I'm telling people, look, 20, 40, 60 pages, write a book, because on Amazon, they're all the same size, right? You're just looking at the little cover chip. And so solve one problem for your ideal customer and get it published quickly. That's what we're doing. That's what Veronica and I are doing with Freeze. We saw that during the pandemic and other crises that we've seen, including the current economic supply chain crises that we're seeing, and large or small, right? It doesn't have to be a global pandemic. It could just be you lost a key employee. That's a crisis.
Right. That's a crisis.
Right? So what do you do? So I said, we have a process to solve this. So let's get it into a book. And if we went through the traditional publishing process, Liz, how long would it take from idea to bookshelf? Right?
Yeah,
4 years?
3 to 4 years. Because, a year and a year and a half to get an agent. I mean, I really am just stunned. I mean, I still have people ask me all the day, how do I get an agent? How do I get a traditional publisher? I go, why? Why? I mean, they're not going to do anything for you. Maybe give you a little credibility, and certainly they have distribution of the bookstores. But they're not going to put you in the bookstores if nobody's ever heard your name before, even if you're with a publisher. I mean, they might put 3 or 4 books in that bookstore, but you're not talking about selling hundreds. You can go out and call on a corporation tomorrow and sell 500 books at one shot.
And so this is the deal. Right. If you've got something that helps people now, then get it out to them in the next few months, not the next few years.
Right. Yeah. Because none of us know, like you say, I mean, you can have a health crisis. You can have somebody else crazy interrupt your day. I mean, it's happening all around the world, all around us. People are crazy. And so, you gotta do your dream now. So that's why we're here. Russ and I are here. Scott and him was here. Scott's got another partner named Russ. They're online. They're giving live streams. They're interviewing people. They're talking about marketing. They're talking about publishing. They're talking about connecting. So there's all kinds of free resources available. We appreciate all of y'all listening today. Catherine, all of y'all. Jordan, I think, was on earlier. And we appreciate y'all coming in. We appreciate you listening. We hope that you'll share this podcast because this is great. It'll actually go and archive to our YouTube channel. And then in a few days, it'll be pulled down and go out to 11 of our podcast channels. So if you're a podcast person, you can come back and listen to this on Spotify or iHeart or iTunes or any of these other podcast platforms. So we'll hope you do that. Scott, thanks so much for being here with us. We ought to have you come back because I know we didn't even get to a couple of your.
We didn't even cover all the books that you published.
We didn't even cover all the books you published because we're sharing so many good nuggets. But yeah, it's been great to see you and to talk, and good luck with that. And be sure to connect with Scott at dscottsmith.com. So I'm going to just spell that just for the fun of it. D as in dog, SCOTTSMITH. So if you're listening and not watching, you're not seeing the scroll, you can still get that, dscottsmith.com. He's on multiple platforms. You can find him on social media. Just look him up at dscottsmith and connect. So thanks so much. And we hope you'll come back and see us next week. We're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m.
And thank you, everyone. And see you next Tuesday.